I'm Gary Newman I'm the Executive Chair of the Alliance for Sustainable Building Products. We're a member organisation, so we're funded by our members. Critically, we're mission-driven, which means that we follow the logic of a mission rather than the short-term commercial interests of specific members. The Alliance members range from very small product manufacturers to the very large multinationals. We also have architects, consultancies, trade bodies who are also members. The role of the Alliance for Sustainable Building Products is to encourage really good decision making when it comes to the specification and use of products and resources. We sort of feel that's been left behind somewhat in the sustainability debate. There's been great strides forward in reduction of energy in use, but currently very little in terms of the opportunities for massive wins in terms of changing the way we specify and use products and resources. The Refab initiative is a really good example of one of the activities. We internally divide our activities into specification of different sorts of products, innovative products, and also what can be loosely described as resource efficiency or the circular economy. And our Refab initiative is a way of conceiving the built environment radically different from the way it's currently conceived. At the moment, we build as if everything is permanent. And if you live in London, you know that permanent, in terms of an office building, means 15 years. All the concrete is ground up and turned into very low-value aggregate, and the steel would be melted down and turned back into structural steel at a massive waste of carbon and resources. So the Refab initiative is a way of designing for deconstruction and component reuse, so that every building, rather than being permanent or sometimes temporary, has a flexible life. And the components can be redeployed, so an office could be turned into a school could be adapted over the summer holidays to be turned into a bigger school or moved, depending on requirements. So it also massively de-risks capital investment. I think there's a hierarchy of opportunities, and it has to be driven by the client. And the demonstration of value is easier in things like schools and hospitals. Retail, is a classic. Retail, may be there for 15 years and then completely demolished. So massive opportunity for them. A substantial proportion of London could be designed on the lines of Refab principles. Housing is slightly more complex, but again, houses could be designed for deconstruction and adaptability. You could sell your spare room on eBay when your children leave home, for example. These ideas are really possible. We're very active in the area of environmental product declarations because to be able to make good decisions about the deployment of products and resources, you have to understand what's in them, what the environmental impact of that product is, and an EPD is a way of expressing that. However, in isolation of decision-making tools to help you interpret the EPD, they're of relatively limited value. They're just a transparency agenda, actually. So the tools are critically important, and there are a whole raft of tools. BIM, Building Information Modeling, is obviously one that's on everybody's lips. A tool that we really support is something called Nature Plus, which is an eco-label, which takes the environmental product declaration but sets limit values on the environmental impacts. So you really are identifying a product that's leading in its category, and that actually informs a decision at the critical point of product purchase. Sustainability is critically important for the big cities like London and every other city, and really every house and property and every building, because resources are going to become scarcer. We're operating in a globalized market. The needs of people are changing so fast, and the demands on products and resources are changing not so much because of population growth, but because of development, which is a great news story, but we simply cannot afford to be so wasteful in terms of carbon, energy and resources in the way that we produce the buildings that we need. So it is critical to our future built environment. We are collaborating and supporting Vision London because we're very excited about new trade shows and new ways of communicating what we do. It's quite difficult in an incredibly busy environment, commercial environment like the construction industry, to get your message across and to differentiate. So we're very optimistic that Vision provides a vehicle for us and our members to communicate their leading edge approaches to products, resources and sustainability in general. The biggest barrier to the adoption of sustainable products is a very good question because there are lots of barriers, and I think perhaps the biggest is that people don't yet fully understand the scale of the social, environmental and economic wins that are possible by doing things differently. And I think if we can communicate the benefits, then I think that will unlock a huge change in the industry, because the benefits really go way beyond what can be achieved by reducing the energy consumption of a building. They radically transform the way we manufacture and move products, employment, everything is possible, but we need to conceive of things slightly differently.